Hi, James Himm Mitchell here, and in this video I'll be looking at our tarot cards for the week starting February the 22nd, 2016, so stay tuned. And here we are with the cards on the table, and the deck assisting me for this week's reading is, I'm going old school, I'm going retro. I am using the Universal Waite Tarot by A.E. Waite and Pamela Colman Smith. Again, that's the Universal Waite Tarot. And as I do in every one of these general weekly readings, I'm going to take the deck, going to shuffle the cards, and I'm asking the question, what do we need to know about the week ahead? Shuffle one more time. I'm going to take the deck, I'm going to cut it, put it together again, and I'm going to deal the top three cards off the top of the deck. First card is going to inform us about what we might experience at the beginning of the week. The middle card is going to tell us what we could expect possibly at the middle of the week. And then the last card is going to tell us what might be the possibilities for rounding out the week. Now I'm going to turn the deck over, and the first card I'm going to do is going to be coming from the bottom of the deck. That is going to be the foundation or base card. I look at it as the underlying energies for the week. So the card is the Sun. The first thing I will say about this card is that it is the best card in the deck, in my opinion. So the Sun card just represents things becoming clear. I look at the Sun as a card of clarification. So you might be experiencing a week where things become very obvious. It's like the light is out, you can see everything, so it's about all that kind of thing, things becoming clear. It's like I'm hearing that song, I can see clearly now, the rain has gone. I'm hearing that in my head. So this is about, being able to see things clearly. Now the Sun card is also a card that represents achievement. So this could be a week where the underlying energies are being asked to remind you of radiating, because I see this card as radiance. So radiating your brilliance and your personal best. It's like looking at life with a sunny disposition, from a place of being happy. And also to, maybe for you might be achieving a sense of personal freedom. So not only are you achieving your personal best, but it could be also a sense of achieving some sense of personal freedom. But the gist with the Sun card, two things. Number one, it represents moving into a greater state of clarity and clarification about things, but also moving into a state of life where you tend to look at life on the bright side, and you are looking at things from a place of being happy and being satisfied. So I will also say too that the Sun card can be a card that can represent money for me. So for some of us, there's that expression like money and happiness are kind of like equal, but so be mindful of that. That might not necessarily be the truth. So but there could be somebody who believes the idea like money makes you happy. So but it could be like money is creating a sense of happiness. And here's the thing about money. So now that I'm saying that, so let's clarify that. We're going with the Sun energy. It's really not about having the money that's going to make you happy. It's about becoming clear on what the money is going to allow you to do. That's really when people say they want to have a lot of money, they really just want to be able to do certain things that having a lot of money would allow them to do. And in my personal practice, when I'm working with people, the number one reason, and it still falls with the Sun card, the number one reason that people want a lot of money is because money will allow them freedom. And remember I said the Sun was about personal freedom. So if you are having the mindset or the idea that money will bring you happiness, it's really not about the money itself, because money is just energy. It's really about what will that energy allow you to do that you believe that you cannot do now. So again, the Sun card is about achievement, radiating your best, and being happy and satisfied with life. So at the beginning of the week, we have the Fool card. So now here's another thing. We have the two major arcana cards here. So this could be a very significant week in terms of the energy that we're experiencing. The Fool card represents embarking on a new phase or chapter in your life. The Fool card is a great card to have. It represents a new experience. And here's the thing about the new experience. When I say that, it represents that you may not know everything you need to know going in, and that's where the Sun card could come up. It may be suggesting, and I'm looking at the card, and the card has the Sun right here in the corner. It could be that you are just going with the idea, just being happy in life and just moving forward from that kind of energy. Or it could be that you get more clear about things as you embark on the experience, as you embark on the journey. And that's the thing about it. Whenever we embark on a new chapter in our lives, we tend to think that we need to know everything going in before we take that step. And so whenever I see the Fool card could be you just having trust and faith in the universe. And again, that's the white sun in the background, in spirit and in the universe, to take the step. And here's the thing, the universe or spirit honors that. When you take the step, the universe rises up to meet you where you're at and provides the next step. But you have to be willing to take the step. It's about going out on faith, taking that leap of faith, taking that first step. But again, the energy of the Fool is about, at the beginning of the week, we may be embarking on a new phase, a new chapter in our lives, and it's about taking that first step, that all-important first step, because you won't get anywhere until you take the first step. And so that's the Fool. Middle of the week. Okay, so now here we have a little bit of a shift. So now we have the Ten of Swords. And so I'm going to start with how I ended with the Fool card. So I said that you have to be willing to take the first step. There may not be anything happening until you take that first step. Now, going with that, then the Ten of Swords is that space in us, because swords represents the way we think, our mental activity, the stuff that runs through our mind. This card is about thinking in a way that limits or restricts us. If you look, the 10 swords are running down the guy's spine on the ground. He's not going anywhere. So it's about the ways that we limit and restrict ourselves. It's about the ways we limit and restrict ourselves because of our thinking. This card is that expression, paralysis by analysis. So it's about how is your thinking keeping you stuck. You may want to embark on this new stage, this new experience. You may want to move forward, but there's this part of you that has doubt. And it could be like usually the doubt sometimes starts with ourselves, like we have self-doubt. So this card is about what would you need to do to overcome that sense of self-doubt? How can you remove that thinking so you can move forward? Now, the other thing about the Ten of Swords, when it comes up, it can represent the idea. If you go with the picture, and I believe that pictures speak in metaphors and puns and things of that nature. And so sometimes this card can represent like the idea, going with the sword energy, of being stabbed in the back. So in the middle of the week, you might have to consider the ways in which you may feel like people are doing you wrong, you've been lied to, you've been betrayed, you've been stabbed in the back, that kind of energy. And with the card here being above the sun, it could be like that could be some of the energy that I'm seeing in terms of things becoming clear. You could be clear on who's got your back and who wants to put a knife in it. And I'm speaking, figuratively. But, you could become clear on that. So there could be a sense of suspicion or doubt that you have about something, and then the sun comes out, so to speak, and then you see it clearly. You see it for what it is. And here's the thing. It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. So be mindful of that. It's like once you see something, once you become aware of it, once you know it, you can't unknow it. And so that means you have to do something with it. And I'm seeing this. So part of the energy here about the doubt and the sense of maybe betrayal or suspicion. Sometimes the Fool card in this regard can be like the idea of like, if this was a stage production, because I'm seeing a different card, and in that image, for the Ten of Swords, there is a ballerina on the card, and she is taking a bow, and the curtain is coming down on her performance. So sometimes when you look at it that way, and it's symbolic of like looking at the roles that we play in our stage production of our lives, sometimes we play the role of, or we believe that we play the role of the fool, and we've been taken advantage of, or, you know, somebody's played us for a fool, that kind of energy. So there may be that. So here's the thing, it's like if someone, let's say, if someone has done you wrong in the way that I'm describing it, the Fool card would be the natural tendency that we would go to beat ourselves up and to make ourselves bad or wrong. You know, like we, you know, somehow allowed that to happen because we were foolish. You know, foolish for trusting that person. And so it's not about that. You are not the fool and you are not right or bad. It's the other person's responsibility in this experience to look at the way in which they have mishandled your trust, the way they abused your trust. It's not about you, because sometimes what we can do is we can go, well, I'm just not going to trust anybody anymore, and that would be, you know, a disservice to yourself and to other people coming in down the line because of this one person or this one experience. Now, I will say the other energy I'm seeing with the Ten of Swords, it could be that you come into, as a result of that, it could be like you deciding that you don't want the drama anymore. I sometimes see the Ten of Swords as a lot of drama, melodrama. I'm hearing the strains of The Young and Restless, the theme to that song, that show, in my head, which I love, by the way. But it represents, when I hear it, it represents having a whole lot of drama, a whole lot of melodrama, and when I hear it, it says that this is the end to the drama. Because now I'm backing it up with hearing Mary J. Blige's song "No More Drama," which actually has some of that Young and Restless music in it. But it's like I'm hearing no more drama. So you may get to the middle of the week where you decide, I'm done with all the drama. I'm just done. And then you kind of make choices and decisions based on that. Because the positive side of the swords is that we problem solve and we make decisions based on something either we want or we don't want anymore. So again, that's a lot of energy for the Ten of Swords. So again, it represents, you know, in the ways in which, especially if you're moving forward or you want to move into a new experience, how you might trip yourself up and keep you from moving forward because you have doubts about yourself and your ability about what you might need to do. And it could be one of the things you're telling yourself, your self-talk could be, I don't have a whole lot of experience. Don't let that be the thing that hampers you, because you could be denying yourself, you know, a step or a direction you may need to be moving into. The other part of that is about being mindful of something becoming clear, possibly about having doubt or suspicion about somebody else around you, somebody you're connected to. It could be like some sort of suspicion that you've had becomes exposed, or, you know, is shed some light on, and you get to see that for what it is, and then you have to make some decisions based on that. You know, this could also be like you're moving into a stage where you are completing something and something needs to be finalized. And once it's final, it's done. Because this card represents, once it's done, it is really done. So that's the energy of Ten of Swords. Moving to the end of the week, we have the Four of Pentacles. So now, as a result of maybe some of the energy here, the Four of Pentacles is asking you to be mindful of what it is that you are holding on to. So now let's say if we go with the idea that the Ten of Swords is maybe the not so nice side that I was seeing, then this card is about holding on to something. It could be holding on to your position. And sometimes that is about like, I want to be right and make the other person wrong, or that you want to beat yourself up and make yourself wrong, and that, you know, and the other person is right. So now, what position are you holding on to? You may be holding on to a grudge or something of that nature in terms of like what has happened to you. This card is asking you, what do you get out of that? What's the value? Pentacles are about what we value. So if you are doing that, if you are engaged in that, it's because you are getting something out of that, and you have to really be honest. Sun card in the Ten of Swords is about being honest with yourself and asking yourself, what are you getting out of holding on to that position? What do you get out of holding on to the grudge? You know, because here's the thing about the grudge. The grudge is probably doing you more harm, more harm, because you can't move past it as long as you're holding on to it. You can't move past it than it's ever going to do to the other person. So that's that energy. Now, going with the idea of I'm going to move forward with something with the Fool, and I'm going to end something as a result, going with the Ten of Swords. In order to move forward with something new, something has to be finalized, completed, then this card is a positive card in that regard because it represents having a firm foundation, you know. And it's also too, the Fool card can sometimes come up when we may be questioning that sense of doubt, whether what we're moving on is, you know, is in our best interest in terms of like, is it a wise decision? In this particular case, then the Four of Pentacles is urging you to consider what is it that would make you feel a sense of safety and a sense of security to move forward. It may not be like you have to totally give up everything, you know, but what would you need to have in place, or what resources would you need to have, because the Suit of Pentacles is all about resources. What resources would you have to make you feel that sense of safety so you can take that first step? You know, so consider that. But it's about having a foundation and moving that forward. Now, the other thing about the whole downside of the Ten of Swords that I was talking about, one of the things that we might feel inclined to do is that we may want to kind of put walls up. I'm seeing another depiction of the Four of Pentacles in my mind from a different deck. And in that one, the person is sitting in similar energy, but the person is sitting in like four walls, like he has erected the walls around him. And so sometimes what it is that when we've been hurt, and we've been hurt badly, you know, or we have a fear of ruin, you know, sometimes like being ruined, in this case with the Ten of Swords, we erect walls, and we do that because we want to keep ourselves safe. And so what that can do to is similar with this energy. It can kind of limit us and restrict us and keep us boxed in. So, you know, yes, you are keeping yourself safe and you're keeping yourself secure by keeping other people out because you don't want to be hurt again. But just like you're keeping them out with the walls, you keep yourself in. You box yourself in. And so short term, yes, that'll work. Long term, not so much. So you might want to be looking at that. So I'm seeing that kind of energy, and I couldn't ignore it. But going again with the Four of Pentacles, it's about a firm foundation being set. Once you decide what direction you want to move into, you want to take that all-important first step. But as you're taking that step, what is it that you need to kind of complete, finalize, end once and for all, so you can take that step? And then you may come from a place of setting a foundation. But if you're concerned about it feeling like it's too reckless, then you could ask yourself, what resources do you need to have in place that would make you feel a sense of safety and security so that you can move forward? And remember now, the underlying energy of the sun is like everything that you embark on this week is coming from a place of being more clear. Remember, it's all about clarity and clarification. So it's about doing things because you're clear. If you're in the dark, some of the energy on the Ten of Swords, if you're in the dark in any way, before you move forward, get clear. So these are the cards, and so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at what the major arcana lesson card is for the week. And to determine what our major arcana lesson card is for the week, I'm going to take the 3 cards for the week. I'm going to take the numbers and add them up to see what number between 0 and 22, because there are 22 major arcana cards, to see where that falls, and that will help us realize or know what our lesson for the week is. So the Fool is 0, so 0 is 0. And then 10, so we have 10. And then 4 from the Four of Pentacles, 10 and 4 is 14. So the 14th card in the major arcana is Temperance. And here's the card. And Temperance can represent a couple of things. So the first thing is that Temperance can represent the idea of being patient with something. So this card can represent the idea of patience or waiting for something, that kind of energy. So it could be like before you embark on that new phase, that new chapter, like I was saying, you might want to take a look and be patient and to look at the ideas or the things that you don't know about, the things that might trip you up and keep you from moving forward. And then once you eliminate those or take care of those, then you could do the moving forward. Temperance in other ways can represent experimentation. I always see this as in light of the angel holding the 2 cups with the liquid streaming from one cup to the other. For me, that can represent like chemistry and working with chemicals and things of that nature. So the whole idea, like the laboratory thing, is an element of experimentation. So it could be like, you know, part of the first step, or taking that first step could be just experimenting with things and seeing where that experiment takes you, or that sense of experimentation takes you. So I'm seeing that. It could also be too, like I said here, the idea of, you know, maybe just being carefree and spontaneous and just, you know, taking the leap, and this other side about, you know, being a sense of like secure and stable and safety and wanting to have a foundation. Then temperance in that regard is about compromise, and it's about creative solutions. It's about creating a win-win. So how could you like marry the 2 extremes? Because sometimes this card is about, you know, polar opposites and extremes. So how can you marry the 2 extremes? How can you get, instead of either or, like if I was coaching you in this, or, you know, when I talk to my coaching clients and we have like an either or scenario, it's like, instead of making it either or, how can you make it both? How can it become and? So how can you have that sense of freedom, that sense of spontaneity, that sense of being carefree, and still have your need for safety and security and stability met? How can you marry the 2 and not make it one or the other? So I'm seeing that kind of energy with that, because this is about compromise. Now, the whole thing about the energy with the idea possibly about, you know, having doubt or suspicion about another person and something coming to light in that regard, then temperance could be the idea of, you know, what would you need to do to create a win-win solution for everyone involved? You know, it could be maybe that the situation is coming to a head, or it's coming, it's being exposed, or light's being shined on it, so you can have a sense of coming to a sense of agreement, or coming to some sort of creative solution. If that is possible, it may not be possible, you know, but if it is possible, how can you have that sense of compromise, you know, if you can reach that? Because sometimes this card is about compromise. Now, the other thing that I'm seeing with temperance is a card, when I said about that next step and moving forward, if you notice, of course, there's an angel on here. So when I see the temperance card, it can represent Archangel Michael. In this particular deck, I would see it as Archangel Michael. So Archangel Michael is the angel who helps us with our life purpose, but he's also the angel that we can call upon for 2 other reasons that I'm seeing in light of what I've been saying. When we need to know what the next step is, that next action step to take, we can call on Archangel Michael, and Archangel Michael will give us the information that will help us take that next step, to show us clearly what that next step is. The other thing, of course, Archangel Michael is known for is that he is the protection angel. He is the angel who keeps us safe and stable. So I'm saying that because of the 4 of Pentacles. So also too, it's like if you're moving into a new experience, you can call on Archangel Michael to keep you safe and protected as you are moving forward. Now, I could also say too that temperance is not just Archangel Michael, but also your guardian angel. So know that your guardian angels are also watching over you. I tend to call our guardian angels not just our guardian angels, but also our companion angels. So they are always with you. So you can call upon your guardian angels as you move forward for that sense of safety and security. You know, and always know that you are safe and protected, that your angels are always watching over you. That's the other thing. Now, in terms of the not so nice things that I was seeing with the Ten of Swords, then temperance is known as the Archangel Cassiel. That is Cassiel. And that angel is known as the angel of temperance, but also the angel of sorrow. So it could be like, you know, if you cannot reach that state of compromise that I was talking about before in your situation, it may be you could say, you know, I'm sorry, there's nothing that can be done or said to fix this, and, you know, you just decide to walk away. If that is the case, sorrow is, you know, acknowledging something that you cannot change. It is out of your hands. You can't change it. You know, when we say, I'm sorry, I learned this from John Gray, you know, the guy who's from the Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, that guy. He said once that when we are offering an apology for something that we may have done, or somebody's offering an apology to us, if they say, I apologize, it's because they are coming from a place of acknowledging that they could have chosen to do something differently or have done something differently in that experience. But then when they say, I'm sorry, they're saying on some level, there's nothing I can do. You know, when we express sorrow for when somebody makes a transition, you know, or somebody's going through an experience that we can't do anything about, we say, I'm sorry. We're expressing sorrow because there's nothing that we can do about it. You know, so when you say I apologize, it's because on some level you know that you could have done something differently or said something differently, and you're coming from that place. But when you say that I'm sorry, when you're expressing sorrow, it's because you understand that there's nothing you can do about the situation. So when I see Cassiel's name in my head, and that's what I'm seeing the name, I tend to think of sorrow in that regard. So it could be like you express the grief, you express the sorrow about the ending, or, you know, the situation being finalized and done, maybe in a not so nice way, however it's resolved, and you have some sorrow about that. And so you may want to call on Archangel Cassiel to help you move through that place of sorrow. So Temperance card, again, it could just be, again, patience, needing to be patient with something. It could be, you know, that step. You know, if you're going to take that step, it's like dipping your toes in the water, getting your feet wet, getting your toes wet to see how it feels. And that goes along with the experimentation thing that I was talking about. You know, getting your feet wet, dipping your toes, and to test the waters. It could be a week of testing the waters for something. And, you know, that idea about marrying the sense of, you know, being carefree and spontaneous, you know, the side of you that wants to take the risk, but also satisfying that part of you that has that need for stability and security. How can you marry the two together? Because this card is about, you know, bringing them into a greater state of agreement. And then calling on your angels, calling on Archangel Michael for clarity and moving the next step forward, as well as Cassiel for, you know, grief and sorrow if you're needing to experiment with that, and know that your guardian angels are watching over you and protecting you whatever step you decide to take. So this has been your Week in Tarot. Summing up, the Fool card is about taking that next step. It's about moving on to that next stage, that next chapter in your life. I'm seeing Oprah's next chapter in my head, so whatever that next chapter is for you, it's about you are being asked to consider taking the first step in that journey. Ten of Swords, in the middle of the week, you may come to a situation where you have to kind of close the door on it, and once you close the door, it is closed. It will not reopen. So it's about, what do you need to finalize? What do you need to complete? And then the Four of Pentacles is like, what are you holding on to, both the good and the bad? Are you holding on to something that's no longer serving and supporting you? If so, consider letting that go. Also, too, if you're going to be moving forward with something, it's like, what do you need to hold on to, or what resources do you need to get hold of that would allow you to feel a little more safe and secure about taking that step? So this has been your Week in Tarot. I am James Himm Mitchell. I'm signing off, and I'm wishing you a Tarot-tastic week. And until we meet again in our next video together, take care.